guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another new video. So today we're kind of starting out a little bit different. I'm headed down to a little spot that I like to go get photos of the M3, and I just kind of want to go over a little topic that I get asked pretty frequently about the M3, and that is if I could get another car or start over, change how I have this car set up. Would I get another car? Would I get anything else to take on the track? Would I do any of the mods on this car any differently? Would I start off any differently? So I just kind of want to go over, you know, why I got this car, some of my progression in the car, in, you know, the mods that I did, the order that I did them, why I chose the F80 M3 specifically, even why I would choose BMW or why I would choose any other car brand or any of that. And I want to kind of go over what kind of cars I might want to get in the future, what kind of cars, you know, what do I have interest in, how have my interests, you know, changed, especially since I've started tracking a lot more often. So we're kind of going to go over some of those topics as we pull up right here, and just kind of talk you through the car, talk you through some of my thoughts and some of the reasons why I've done what I've done. So here we are, we got the M3 out here. It's a nice little spot out here. I like to come out, get a lot of photos out here. The trees kind of make for a nice background. The car always looks good. So to start off, I got this M3 here almost a year ago. I got it in September of 2024. And the M3, specifically the F80, has always kind of been a dream car of mine. I got my first car back when this had just come out in about 2015, 2016. And my first car was also a BMW, obviously not an M3 like this. That's kind of what led me to really fall into the BMW world, kind of learn, you know, what kind of mods there were, what kind of potential. That was when people had just started modifying these things. And so going around the internet and seeing what everybody had done, all the different types of mods, you know, the suspension, the front lips, the exhausts, everything like that. The F80 specifically just kind of grew on me big time. I had this as a lock screen on my phone for years and years and years, and it was always kind of a goal just to be able to get into one of these cars in the future. And that's mainly the first place that I kind of fell in love with this car. Now, this wasn't the car I got immediately after getting my first car. I actually ended up getting a different car. That was a Subaru WRX. I still have that car. I still daily that's what I take to and from work, and it's been okay. I had my fun with that thing. I modified it, I took it to the track, and that's basically where I got my introduction to high performance driving and specifically driving around tracks. But a few years later, I ended up finding myself getting into an M3, and quite frankly, I could not be happier with this thing. Honestly, this is one of my favorite cars still of all time. I just think it does everything really, really well, and I have very few complaints on it. But I do want to talk about, if I were to get something else, what I would do or what other cars have kind of come across my mind. So honestly, I think it's hard to beat this car for the price. Right now, you're looking at F80s, and they're generally in the 40 to 60K range, depending on mods, miles, you know, spec, whether you're getting a 2018 with icons that's fully loaded and low miles. You're probably looking at one in the mid 50s. They're starting to climb just a little bit, maybe getting even into the low 60s. If you're looking at like a special edition or maybe even an F82 and getting a GTS, you're looking at like mid 60s, maybe even low 70s for these cars. But you can get them all day long for the mid 40s, even the low 50s for a decent spec. You know, maybe not an individual color, probably not the lowest mileage, but it'll still be a clean car, and honestly, it'll still do basically everything manual. And when you're talking about cars in the 40 to 50K range, I don't know that there are many cars that can really compete with this car for everything that it can do, the luxury that it has, the overall looks. I think this thing looks timeless, especially when you update certain aspects of the car, such as the icon headlights. Honestly, I think they make it look super modern. And if you didn't know anything about these cars, you would probably think this is a 2024 or 2025 model year. But when you're looking in that 40 to 50K range, there just aren't too many vehicles that can compete with this on all different aspects. So the first thing I want to talk about is the power of the M3. If you guys don't know, this car comes with a straight six 3-liter twin turbo S55 engine. These cars make a little over 400 horsepower from the factory, 424 I believe for the base, and 444 for the competition. And quite frankly, BMW has lied on a bunch of their numbers, so it's really probably more like 440 to the wheels for the competition models. And for a 4-door sedan, I know it feels like horsepower inflation has gotten crazy, but honestly, 400 plus horsepower to the wheels for a sedan is plenty. You really don't need any more. And having tracked this thing a ton, honestly, more power would make it start to get pretty undrivable, especially at some of the smaller tracks. So there's really no point in trying to chase horsepower, especially if you're gonna do stuff like spirited driving, track driving, mountain driving on these kind of cars. There's really just not a need for much more horsepower. But when you compare these to other cars in similar price ranges, the only things you're gonna be looking at are from the European side, you'll have the Supra. I say European because it's basically a BMW. You're basically looking at a Supra. You have some Audis, but they're a little bit heavier, and honestly, rear-wheel drive just doesn't quite compete with the all-wheel drive. It's just, they're two completely different animals, and they kind of handle exactly like what you would think, just completely different cars. So I feel like the M3 still sets itself apart in the European market. If you compare it to anything in the US, the only 4-door versions you have are basically the Cadillacs, the CTS and the ATS-V. And while those are good, alternatives, they are American, and they're honestly just completely different cars. And so to me, whether you're looking at an American car or a European car, honestly, the people looking for those just really aren't in the same market. So when you look at the power of this car, there's honestly, I feel like not too much that competes with it. Of course, you can look at the newer BMWs. The S58 is incredibly powerful, and it makes a ton of power. And obviously the B58 in all the non-M models makes a ton of power as well. But I feel like people always hate on the S55 when honestly, it's the perfect platform for what this car was made to be. So it's got good power, it has a really good weight distribution, a near 50-50 weight distribution. And honestly, in order to compete with that, the only cars I've ever considered are looking at an M2 or a Supra. So when we go into the M2, the benefit of that is that it's a little bit smaller. Honestly, they don't weigh any less. It's basically got the same powertrain, but you're basically looking at this car with a slightly shorter wheelbase. And there's some pluses and minuses to that. Overall, I ended up choosing the F80 just because I've had a little bit more of a tendency to like these things, and it's kind of been more of a bucket list item for me. The M2s are perfectly great cars, and I do really enjoy them, but I found myself to always lean towards an F80, and that kind of brings us to here today. In the end, if I had to get another car to track or to abuse in the mountains, honestly, I would stick with BMW for the price range that we're looking at, and everything that this car offers. I would definitely stick with BMW. If I had to go another way, I would probably pick either the new M2 or the F87 M2. I would stick with the comps. But the new generation, the G87, the new generations are just way too good. That S58 just makes so much power. It's effortless. They are a little bit on the heavy side, but otherwise those things are just such good cars. Now, if we had to go another way and budget was kind of out of the question and we got to do whatever we want, honestly, I would find myself in the natural progression of things, moving to a Porsche. I think those things are absolutely fantastic. I've driven a few of them and they're just everything more that you could desire from this car, but it's kind of what you expect. I mean, they're definitely more expensive, and it's just a step in the next direction on what you will with performance, looks, just everything you could ask for. Those things are fantastic. Now, when we move into the progression I've taken with this car, obviously this thing started quite stock. It was bone stock when I got it in September, and I've kind of turned it into this little bit of a track car pretty quickly. but it's still a perfectly good weekend cruiser. I drive it on the street more than I drive it on the track. And honestly, I have no complaints with everything that I've done to the car so far. Obviously, it's on full coilovers, Nitron R3s, as well as a full SPL solid spherical arms, everything you could ask for in terms of suspension. It's got a roll cage and bucket seats, and I don't think I would do this car really any differently. The suspension is absolutely fantastic. The interior, the seats, they pair well with the car. Everything looks super good. Power is plenty. I could maybe change up the exhaust, but other than that, the M3 has basically been everything that I want it to be. Now, if I did have to find a complaint with this car, it would most definitely come from the exhaust setup. S55s are known for having kind of an odd, raspy sound. Honestly, to me, I don't think they sound bad, especially if you get a good exhaust setup. I think they can actually sound pretty good for what they are. And I don't even know that some of the newer exhausts on the S58s really sound even much better. Now, a lot of people like to single turbo these, and those sound fantastic. They kind of sound similar to a 2JZ, but I think the stock twins can be, you know, a decent option, and with the right setup, I think they can sound pretty good. My setup specifically, I think it sounds decent. I do think it could be quite a bit louder. It's a little bit of a unique tone that I have going on. It's an equal length active auto midsection with a Turner rear muffler section, and they're a little bit custom because they didn't quite fit together, but honestly, I think it sounds really good, and I haven't been too in the need to change it, especially since it won't really change the performance of the car, as well as I still plan on doing downpipes, and downpipes will completely change the tone and the sound. So I'm gonna kind of wait until those are done, and then I can get the whole setup redone. So like I said, there isn't really much that I would change on the car. Honestly, I think it looks fantastic, and I obviously have a lot more mods coming for this thing. Like you guys know, I have an aero kit coming. I'll probably be changing the wheels at some point. I have some updates for the interior. It's obviously gonna be making more power, and we're gonna continue to push it on the track. And we're gonna take it to more tracks across the country, as well as other places. Probably more trips back to the mountains, and just continue to enjoy this car for what it is. Drive it hard, drive it aggressively. It loves to be driven hard. I feel like when I drive it on the highway, and I drive it like, you know, on public streets, it's like, it feels like it's just begging and begging to be driven harder. But like I said, in the end, if I did have to upgrade, I would definitely be looking at, you know, the Porsches and whatnot. I've also thought about getting into the E92 world, mainly just because those things sound so freaking good. That 4-liter V8 sounds fantastic. They look really good, and they can also be really dominant on the track. They don't have quite the cooling that these cars have from factory. BMW definitely stepped it up with the F chassis. But other than that, that car is amazing. But in the end, this car has basically been everything that I wanted it to be. Everything that I kind of built it to be, it's handled super well, and I have no complaints overall. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Kind of just a little bit of a chat about, you know, what got me into this car, why I chose the F80 M3 over anything else, specifically to track this car, and if there was anything else I would get or anything else I would do with this car, why, and why I went this specific way with the F80. I hope you guys enjoyed the change of scenery out here. It's always nice and quiet, and it's a good change up from the garage. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching today's video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment. I'll see you guys in the next video.